Tahir Johnson. Oh my goodness. There's so much to talk
Yo.
about and unpack with this, but we do have Talaya, everyone that might be wondering. Talaya is here. She is going to be joining with her video on in a little bit, but she may chime in a couple times or every so often while she has the chance to. But just to get right into it, Tahir, tell us about yourself, man. Tell us who you are. Tell us where you're from. I mean, I know, but
Of course.
for those
Well,
that don't know, what's going on, man?
well, first of all, I gotta say, how the hell you been, man? I haven't. It's like the first time I've seen your face in like 20 years. You look exactly the same though.
I know. I've been great. I can't complain. I ain't gonna lie. A part of 2020 kicked my ass, but I'm still here. I'm good. I'm well. I'm doing the damn thing. Just as much as all of you guys are. Like it's real dope to see people that I went to school with, grew up with, or just been around the neighborhood with, doing amazing things. Like who would have thought, yo? Like who
Yeah, right.
would have thought?
That is something. Yeah,
Yeah.
man. It's definitely crazy, but definitely shout out to all my Trenton folks, my Ewing folks. If Ebony show, I'm sure y'all are in the building. My name is Tahir Johnson, born and raised in Trenton, New Jersey. Ewing High School class of '01. Man, we go all the way back to like Ewing Rec, all of that stuff, man. Ewing travel team with
Wait,
Kenny.
didn't it start with dance?
But oh, dance, of course, the dance school. How can I forget that? Yeah, that's where
Did
it's
we forget
all the way,
Tahir and the nice?
all the
Did
way
I
back.
really take it
Yeah,
back? How could we forget Tahir and them nice shiny tap shoes?
the shiny suits, man, had it all the way back, right?
For real. What are you doing with yourself now, though? Like, what's going on?
So now I work in the cannabis industry. I've had the opportunity to do quite a few different things in the industry, but right now, my role is working for two different organizations called the Marijuana Policy Project and the U.S. Cannabis Council. And my role now is to focus on cannabis legalization, both at the federal level and the state level, but specifically focusing on social equity policies to make sure that people from communities that have been harmed by the war on drugs, like our communities have opportunities to
Yes.
participate in the industry. Cannabis is the fastest growing industry, I'll say, in the world. Talking about the U.S. specifically, though, cannabis did about $20 billion in revenue in the U.S. So one of the largest industries. Like I said, people of color have very few opportunities to participate in the industry. But
Right.
also, if you think about it, to put it in position, we have an industry that's now creating billions of dollars, but we also have people that are locked up within the criminal justice system in all different ways, whether it's probation,
Mm-hmm.
parole, all types of things for the same thing that people are now making all this money for. So it's also, that's the other side of legalization, like trying to make sure that these people come home, but also at the same time that those same people that were from the legacy market have opportunities to participate in the industry as well. So it's all a part of what I do.
You have a pretty heavy plate you working with there, but it sounds like because it's what I feel like is what you love to do anyway. Is this what you went to school for? Like what did you go to school for? What
Nah,
did
so I went to school for marketing, but most of my professional career, I worked in finance.
Mm-hmm.
So I started out when I first came out of school in banking, then actually ended up in investments. And when I was at Morgan Stanley, I was on what was called the Diversity Council. So
Mm-hmm.
if you think of finance, it's another industry where there's very few minorities, especially
Yes.
when you talk about the investment side. So that was all about trying to bring diversity, equity, and inclusion into the organization. So that was my first kind of understanding and starting to like kind of look at that type of, look at the world through that type of
Right.
DEI lens. But that, like I said, that wasn't my specialty by any means. Like I said, I managed investments, stocks, bonds, all those types of things. And my first exposure to the industry was back in 2013 when I saw a company called GW Pharma go public. And so that kind of exposed me to the idea that cannabis wasn't the same. It wasn't going to be the same thing that we saw like growing up in Trenton, like where we're from, right? And of course, since then it's gone on to become this whole thing, but it was still a number of years before I actually started working in the industry. Like I said, I was in finance the whole time. And in 2019, actually, I helped my dad get his medical card. And then once I saw that, it exposed me to everything in the industry. That was when I really, like I said, in 2018, I found out about like the whole legal cannabis industry and like all the different challenges, specifically because I had this background in finance. So one of the biggest challenges for people of color was access to capital. So if you want to get a dispensary or, or cultivation, it could cost millions of dollars, right? And it's specialized type of expertise. And so with my background, it was something that I wanted to get into, not just for myself, but to be able to figure out how to help others. So I started out with pursuing businesses on my own. And here in Maryland, I applied for licenses. Actually, back there in Jersey, I applied for licenses too.
Now, was it easier in Maryland than it was for Jersey?
No, it wasn't. I'll say, so every single state that you apply and try to do it, it's a completely different system. I was in New Jersey system. We actually had the system actually crashed when we were submitting our application. So we were in a lawsuit for like over a year, just trying to get our application submitted and scored. But we ended up losing the lawsuits, so that didn't go through. My Maryland application is still in process that we submit all the way back in 2019, just because cannabis applications are something that's very litigious, I'll say. So it's like lawsuits, this whole process is scoring things. So, but for me, I'll say, thankfully, I was blessed where I was able to kind of parlay my situation where I started out in the industry where, really my main focus isn't even whether I get a business or not myself, but having gone through that experience and kind of starting out the industry where I pursued it, gave me the insight to understand what it's like being a minority, trying to move through these spaces, the money that you have to pay, the process, how difficult it is to go through these applications. And then also I've had the experience also scoring applications in a whole another state. So I have all these different perspectives and kind of seeing the industry in a different type of way. So, it started out there, but then I got introduced to lobbying again in that same time as I was networking in 2019. And so it was a funny story, actually. One of our boys we grew up with in Trenton, he's the Michael Reed. He is the chief of staff for a congressman. So we're like networking. I attended this lobby day, and that was like the things like, who would have known that one of my relationships would go into Princeton Day, all the way back at elementary school.
That would be one
of the things to help me in my career. So it's like we're at the lobby day, and like I'm like looking at the paper. I'm like, oh, one of my boys chief of staff for the congressman. Should I hit him up? And they look at me like, what? Chief of staff for a congressman? I'm like, yeah.
You better hit him up.
Yeah, hit him up, fly me right in. And so like that was that introduction was like my first experience to lobbying. We were lobbying for like cannabis policies. And through that, I got the introduction to start working at the organization, the National Cannabis Industry Association that I previously worked for. And that was really my start in the world of, cannabis policy and all those types of things. That's where I got to. That's pretty much how I got to where I am now.
So I want to ask you, where are you, or are you ever going to be focused on helping in a way of not just I guess it is educating the young men or even women that might want to sell, how it was for us and, or the youth and everything to sell illegally, to educating them on how to actually be on or part of these organizations or teams, what have you, to get themselves into a more licensed and, more legal way of doing things. That way it saves them from being incarcerated or, wrongfully even incarcerated, because as we know, it's being legal now. So are you part of teams that help, again, like communities in that way? Like or will you hold like certain classes, get these people off the street? That way they're learning to use, their hustling skills in a better way.
Yeah, absolutely. That's always a big part of what I do. And as a matter of fact, at the organization I was at previously, I started a program called the Social Equity Scholarship Program. And
Mm-hmm.
in that program, anybody that is a social equity licensee or has applied for a license, like anywhere in the country, is eligible for complimentary membership in the organization.
Mm.
And the purpose of that was like the smallest membership was $1,000 a year. And so for people from those types of communities, it may be difficult for them to get that type of money. So by removing that barrier, it gave them free access to the organization. And that program's still ongoing. In the organization that I'm at now, again, I've literally just started. This is today would technically be, I'm at the start of my third week. So I will be implementing a number of different programs, but they're not quite established yet.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely be on the lookout for new things. But what I will say is, so for like people in Jersey, for example, a big part of the laws that were passed, and we're still waiting for the commission to finalize what the regulations will look like. But a big part of the bill that was passed has social equity all baked through it. So for example, there are the micro licenses that are,
Yeah.
there's no caps on the micro licenses. Those are exclusively going to be for social equity applicants. So that means that you have to be like, not like you have to be from like New Jersey. You have to be like
Yeah.
from like one of these, like from the town so this gives an opportunity for somebody to now come and create a business in their hometown that may or may not have been in the industry. But also one of the great things about New Jersey specifically in the bill, the way they passed it is they made it so that money has to actually go back to communities that have been harmed by the war on drugs.
Nice.
And those are what they consider impact zones. So Trenton is one of those. And what that means is that the money's not only going for like cannabis and cannabis businesses, because there is going to be money that's going to come to help fund those social equity businesses.
Okay.
But one of the things that's going to happen is money's just also going to go to those communities to fund different programs and just
Within
go
that
into those
community.
communities that have been impacted as well. So that's one of the other positive results is going to be a part of this legalization.
Oh man, that is amazing. Like it's funny because I always seem to hear certain things like right when again everything was legalized for New Jersey. I saw a lot of but that means you can't X, Y, and Z. So the X, Y, and Z portion is I guess you can't you technically still can't really purchase without or maybe I'm
But
saying
now
this
you can't purchase yet because of this, because the adult use program isn't established yet.
okay, so that's what
But what now does happen is, I mean, if you have weed, weed is not
not
illegal,
illegal.
right? So there you go. So technically, there's like you cannot go in the adult use program is not established. That's what they're still working on
Mhm.
again. But now again, these people that would have had if you just prior to that, if you would have had cannabis on you, you would have been in danger of getting locked up, charges, all those
Mhm.
types of things. Now that's going away. So, that's really the benefit of it for now.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh my gosh. Thank you for the education, yo. Like, I don't know. I see Jerry popped in and he said educate him, T, because clearly he
Yeah.
know he knows you're gonna drop that knowledge on us. I do want to ask, with the amount of time that you've started, like you said you started pretty much in 2018. So what is
Mhm.
that about like 3 years out? Would you say at the time you started, people were really more, I guess, interested in being part of this world, this cannabis world? Or do you feel like it could have probably been like a couple years back and you yourself just really wasn't like noticing anybody wanting to be part of this? Because it seems to be huge now. I mean, it
Yeah.
is a big deal. So,
Well, I'll say it's getting progressively more. People are getting more and more interested in it. The one thing is that we're starting like legalization is picking up at a faster pace than ever before. Like if you look at just this year, we had what? Man, I have a hard time keeping up. So now it's like 18 states that are legalized, but we
yeah.
had us in New Jersey that did it in November. We had Arizona did it in November, South Dakota, Mississippi. We had
Did New
Montana.
York go yet?
Yeah, so ever
Yeah,
since
they
then,
were
New
rather
York, we just had New York, we had New
yeah.
Mexico, we got Connecticut that's about to pop off. Like
Wow.
cannabis is getting legalized at like a rapid pace now. So more and more people are getting interested in it just because of the headlines, right? You can't help but notice it. And it's become the stigma starting to come down a little bit where people are thinking of it's okay because you're starting to realize it's a legal industry.
Right. Speaking about the that I wanted to kind of go into a first time experience thing with us, right? So, what was your first time experience with cannabis? Because did you have the stipulation of no, you know, I don't want to try this, or you know, let me go ahead and try it and see what the hype is about? And if so, share it with us.
Dang. The crazy thing, if I say it on here, the people that I smoked with the first time, like everybody's probably going to know, so it might be incriminating. I don't know what they do in their lives.
No names.
I haven't like talked to like none of them since high school, so
Look,
they might like
no name, no face, no case. That's you can give a little bit of it.
All right. So my first time smoking, it was me. And everybody knows I'll say my boy that lived across the street from my grandmother. Everybody probably remembers who that was if you from Ewing. On 13th Street. It was me, him. We actually we were just chilling, man. I remember we were over his crib, like in the backyard, like smoking. It was like a super fun day. We went to the pool. We went to the pool hall. I went and played pool. We went to Moody Park. Man, I just remember how like amazing it felt, yo. It was just like the bomb. And I remember like the second time I smoked, and it was just really funny. And I don't mind saying my brother, like Nadir, like when we first started smoking, was always so hot, yo. He would get me caught. Because I feel like I would be maintaining, but he would just be like tripping, yo. And like my mom, that's how we got caught, and she found out that we smoked. But like in high school, I didn't really smoke like that much. Here again, on and off, like a couple times. It wasn't until like college until I started like blazing for real.
Now, was it more so recreational for you, or did you use it then, even in college, to kind of like just relax you? Just
you know, the one thing that I found is that cannabis has always been something for me that's been good for connecting people. Like if you think of the way it brings people together, like, you know, you chill, how many friends you make, like you just kick it. Also, it helps you to be very creative. Like, you know, like early on, like my goals were always to be like in the music industry and do different things like that. And then like just coming from that creative background, like it would help me to, I always just thought it would help me in different ways like that. Whether it was work, writing a paper, you know, anything like that. It was always that type of thing. But then also like for everything, like you said, whether it's to chill, relax, go to sleep, like wake up, get ready for the day, get mentally stimulated. It's good and it's really good in any setting, man. I can't think of one where it's not, to be honest with you.
That's true. I mean, so
but on a serious note, though, having had the opportunity to work in a dispensary, like the way that you see the way it's changed people's lives, like having seen like veterans with PTSD and like them say this is the first thing that's helped them and made them feel good, or like people with like chronic pain and it helps them with that, like people that have sleep disorders, people that have been on like serious things like heroin and it helps them get off of drugs, like all those types of things you've seen in people, you see that happen through cannabis. So it's like, it's seriously like helping people from a medical use as well. And there are actually theories that, you know, no cannabis use is recreational, right? You know, so if you even think of that term recreational, it's kind of like recreation is like, you think it's like kids playing at a playground or something like that, right?
For fun.
So yeah, so like the proper term is that, and I'll say like this is like drop little knowledge, like adult use, because like adult use cannabis, right? This is just like the same way adult use alcohol. You wouldn't necessarily say like alcohol is recreation. So it's like, so adult use just means like you're of the adult use age to be able to use cannabis and you're able to responsibly consume it, right? But also, like I said, the theory is like what they call the wellness theory, kind of says that like no cannabis use is like recreational. In effect, that people are always using it to treat something you just may not know. Because if you think about, like you said, it helps you feel calm, or it might help you go to sleep, or it might help you do, or like I said, it might help me, like I said, be creative. Like all these things, you're actually using it in some type of way to treat something, although, you know what I'm saying, it's not something that you have a prescription for. So then is it ever really recreational, right?
So it's funny. My first encounter, I know I probably got my dad on here watching. Dad, it's the first time for everything, man. Um, so my first encounter with it, I was with people that I trusted. That was my first and foremost. I felt like it couldn't be with just any random person because I've heard stories about what it can do at that time when I did it. Now, I wasn't until I was, like 25, 26, maybe, when I tried it.
Mhm.
And I'm thinking, okay, well, I'm already a bubbly, hyper person or whatever. It ain't gonna make me any more giddy because that's what I hear too. Everyone's always laughing off of it, right? Man, that thing sat me the hell down. I was like, oh, okay. But my issue was I didn't like the smoke. I didn't like to have to inhale into something. And I used to keep, like, I swear to y'all, I used to look at it like, oh, how could people do that? Or, and I feel bad about it because here I am now using it for my own health reasons or whatever, to relax me, to keep me calm, and to get me to go to sleep. So while I'm self-medicating with it, um I'm glad that sorry, I'm glad that I got away from assuming the worst in what cannabis did or does for people, and looking at it as, you know what, this shit is really actually good, and it's probably something that I'm not going to say everybody should use it, but mostly everybody should use it to calm the fuck down.
Well, see, and let me break it down to you a little bit more. So, like, even what you said, like the expectations of how you might feel or what you might get out of it. Like, if you think of it, there are literally like hundreds of different what they call cannabinoids that exist within cannabis, and terpenes that exist within cannabis, which are like essential oils that exist in all types of plants. So, like, if you think about like every single different strain has like different compositions, different breakdowns. Every single one might have different, one might make you feel a little goofy, one might make you feel more relaxed. You know what I mean? Like, so there's all differences there. So that's just another thing that you take into consideration with it. Also, like you said, it's oh, what's that? Oh, man,
I forgot you have a background on you. I'm like, what are you looking at?
You couldn't see it.
But no, that's real. Like I said, it always, I really did put like this stigma on it of, it's
and that's what I was going to say. A lot of the stuff that we were taught, like about all this like gateway drug, and like the commercials where they was cracking the eggs on pants that we were kids, that was fake. That was all
to keep us away from actually feeling good and finding our, like, you know what I mean, like our.
Well, it's not about that, but actually, like, if you go back to the history of like the war on drugs and how this all started, it all really started in racism. Going back to where cannabis was something, if you really think about it. So like now we have this separation of cannabis and hemp, but it always wasn't that way, right? So if you look at it, even in America, when we first got here, like colonists like had to grow hemp. Like it was like, I've been to George Washington's place, Mount Vernon here. Like he actually grew hemp on that farm in Mount Vernon. So this is like all the way back. You're talking about like Revolutionary Wars, 1770s, like founding of this country. So the way that cannabis got to become illegal is there's a couple of different things. So if you look at the hemp side, like it was used for a lot of different things, like paper, cotton. Like Henry Ford built a whole car out of hemp. So you think about these other industries lobbying against the use of that. Also, at the same time, cannabis, there was a racist agenda where so Mexicans, so even the word marijuana that we know to be used historically about like to describe it was used because like, so like when Mexicans were coming into this country and they wanted to describe it, like remember we all, well maybe I'll say we all know, but y'all may not know, it's like a movie called Reefer Madness. It's like old, like all the way back in the day. So like what they were trying to describe, like marijuana, like they would use it to describe that when like the Mexicans used it, but it was really the same thing we had here when it was like in Americans, like the white folks, it was cannabis. It was Mexicans, it was marijuana. When it was the jazz folks, it was marijuana. So like they had these things, and they would say that like when they smoke their marijuana, it makes them crazy and want to kill you. Or they would be like, and there's literally a saying like where they said like it makes darkies think they're as good as white men, like, you know, marijuana. So there was this whole agenda to make it illegal back then, and that's where this war on drugs, that came to us being locked up for years and years and years, all the way up until, you know, recently when there's been this movement to change it.
I swear, I told you, I'm learning something today because I never knew that. Especially on that hemp.
No, I would literally say just like just Google like cannabis, just Google how did cannabis become illegal.
So the
like
proper
anything
name
like that.
is cannabis.
The proper name is cannabis.
But we changed it and say weed, marijuana, and whatever pot. Yeah. Wait, pot is weed, right?
Yeah, it is. Pot, it's all the same.
I'm like, wait, because I always thought that pot was something.
Nah, pot is weed.
See what I'm saying? I always thought it was something totally different.
Loud, you know, many names.
Yeah, I know. All that. I know it's the part. That is crazy. Oh my goodness.
And you know, and that's the thing where we are now. Like you were saying, the thing around smoking. Now there's so many ways to consume. You don't have to smoke. There's edibles, there's vapes, there's tinctures, there's enemas, there's whatever you want to take. There's drinks, there's it's whatever.
Yes, that is so true.
Bombs, lotions.
I invested in a pen just in like right off the edge of 2020. No, y'all, it's not because of 2020, but I'm pretty sure it was just, like I said, it was to handle my my anxiety sometimes, right? And this has probably been my best thing since. I'm trying to remember the name. Oh, it's dragon fruit something, and it's supposed to help with sleeping, help with calmness, make you feel like real chill, not to, and it's like you said with the different strains that are in it. That's what I guess this one had. I lost the top to it so I could read off what it really said, but I'm still learning. I don't understand it much. I have certain people in the family that have been helping me with that, but I'm not going to drop those names at all. But T, you've been there so quietly. I'm about to get on you. So what's up, girl?
Hey, who's out there? Oh, what's up?
What's going on? So you want to tell us about any experience?
So I was like taking in all the information, and then I started drinking wine. So I'm like, it kind of like zen me like this. I don't know why. I was like, yeah. So I too, I was just like for years. I'm like, why do people do that? But I think for my stance of thinking that is because, especially like the one person like I was around years ago, he was getting in trouble with it all the time. So I looked at it as a bad thing. Like, why are you doing this? And it's like frying your brain, and you keep getting in trouble for it. So then as the years have gone by, I would say, who was it? Probably no more than like three or 4 years ago, while I'm at work. So it's in my 30s. One of my co-workers, he was a white guy. He he was telling me about edibles, and I'm just like, what is that? Because I never wanted to put something to my mouth. And so like one day, like we met up, and he gave me like an edible, and that type of high is like insane. Like it it makes you just like, it's a whole body high. So I really don't care for the edibles. But so then the
You
person,
gotta know how to pace yourself. You just can't take too much.
Exactly. Have a whole outer body experience.
yeah,
You
so
know, and that's what I will say. So, you know, one of the benefits of, you know, and this is one of the benefits of cannabis legalization, is that you have, like, I mean, dosed, right? So like when I go in the dispensary, like, and I buy edibles, for example, like, and I don't have any on me now, but like I may buy, like, when you buy gummies, right? You may know this is 25 milligrams per gummy. You know, it's exactly that. Versus like, you know, you go cop something from the homie, you just eat it, boom, you smack. Like,
you don't know.
what it is.
Yeah.
Also, like, you know, other things, like, to talk about, like, different things, like, you know, everything is tested, right? Like, you know, exactly, it's tested, you know, the date it was grown from seed, it's tracked from seed to sale, right? Like everywhere it's been, what they use to grow it, all of that stuff. Another thing that's important, you know, specifically, like talking about like vape cartridges, right? Like vapes, there was, if you look back, like 2019, there was the whole crisis where people were getting sick from vapes. When you have regulated cannabis, like, you don't encounter that. Like, and that whole thing that happened was from things that were in like unregulated like vapes that people were creating, because you don't know what's in it. So, you know, that's just one of the other benefits that you get from legalization. Like, you know that you kind of have like an exactly like regulated system that helps to control.
Gotcha. Yeah, because like my guy friend, it probably was about 3 years ago. Yeah. So that was my first experience of when they blow in your mouth. What is it
Oh,
called?
you got, isn't that called no, that's not
Shotgun.
Shotgun. Okay, yeah. So
I
I
like
remember
that
him
one.
doing that, and that was okay. And then
You was in your 20s and somebody gave you a
no, I was
shotgun?
in my 30s. I'm no, it's no, I did everything for my first time the last three to 4 years.
Oh,
Like,
I couldn't even imagine taking a shot, doing that as like a grown man. That's like
well,
no disrespect.
well, no,
But
no,
like,
no.
that's like
Well,
we did it like high
well,
school,
we you know why? Because he knows that like I didn't want to put
won't do
anything to
it.
my
He just wanted
mouth.
to give you the whole culture, like the
Yeah.
everything you missed from high school
Well,
to 30, like all in one session. Or he
Well,
wanted to
the
try
thing
to, he was
is,
trying to get close. He was trying to lift the
no,
lip.
well,
He was gonna do the he's gonna hit you with one of them.
no.
That's what he was trying to do. He was trying to Lady and Tramp spaghetti you. That's what he was trying to do. Real talk. There's no other explanation for him trying to give you like a shotgun
No.
in your 30s. He was definitely trying to Lady and
I
Tramp
was trying to
spaghetti.
explain it to you. Well, we
Okay.
actually talk. So
Got me crying.
yes, I'm trying to get.
I need an explanation. Give me the explanation.
Yo, so we actually talk. So you know, it's nothing like he just So we've kissed and all that, and so.
Okay, it's got it. Okay, so now it makes sense.
Yeah, so it's
Now I
not
get it.
just some random friend that's when they say just blow. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, now it's making more sense, because the way you tried to describe it, you tried to discredit this brother. You was like, just some guy.
No, because I don't like to like put my stuff out there too much. That's why.
Said he done
Sorry,
gave
the
you the
pride, but,
whole
you
high
know,
school adult experience.
I just needed more answers, because I just needed more answers. It's because what you said. I just to add it up and put it all together.
Yeah, so
I wasn't trying to out you, but
no, yeah, but we actually, kiss and do all that stuff, but like he knew like I didn't want to put it to my mouth, so like he did that, so that was cool. And then maybe like a couple times after that, like I tried it like with him, and like he actually like just let me take a pull of it, but then I keep coughing and all that, so then I'm like, this is too much. It is too much. So, but it does, I will say, if you take a pull or if I did the shotgun, I'll be more calm. If I did the edibles, I start tripping. Because the one time I had to come home because I thought my house was on fire. Like my mind just tripped. But I think clearly though, like I can remember every single detail, and I think so clear with my thoughts.
It's almost, what do they call it? A high functioning person. Like when you're able to literally function off of whatever you're on.
But your house wasn't really on fire at all.
My house wasn't on fire. Yo, he getting me tonight.
What was you smoking?
The house was not
girl?
burning down.
My house was not burning down at all. It was in total great shape.
I do recall a situation where I thought the car was, I wasn't driving the car, but I thought the car was too close to the wall. So, you know, you have the wall, you have the median like in the middle, and then the other side of the road. And I just remember about to grab the steering wheel to move the person from going near the car. Again, first time experience, right? And that was my first time experience with an edible. I will not like.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's the
like
edibles.
you said, you have to be able to have the proper amount that you intake, because Lord knows if you do too much, especially for your own body weight and everything
Well,
else.
that's the thing with edibles, it takes a long time to kick in. So you might, even if you take one, like you get like a brownie or cookie, you gotta, if you're a rookie, don't eat the whole thing, take a little
you
bite.
think it's good.
Yeah, because of course it's going to taste good. If it's going to taste like candy or a cake or whatever, and you eat that, it's going to take like 45 minutes, hour before it sets in. You know what I'm saying? So you eat the whole thing and you're like done. If you're just starting out, you gotta take it slow.
Yeah, because your body go numb. Like I just remember my leg going numb. First it was the left, then it'd be the right. It was too much. So
Lord, well, I've never experienced any of that. I guess I'm thankful that I, started consuming early. Like, if I ever had them experiences, it was so long ago I don't remember it. Like I don't remember that. All I remember was going in the kitchen and eating all the chips, eating everything. That was it for me.
Chips here.
That was the young days, but nowadays, like I said again, it's just a normal kind of part of life. Like I don't all those things. I don't get for me there is no munchies or silly kind of laugh. It's just I'll say it's a normal, this is normal.
This is it. Yeah. It's so funny though. I feel like Talaya and I are like those moms that be on those movies that never did certain things, and then when they do it, when they all get together, they're just turned up and wild and crazy, and like us, we're still new.
Yeah.
And I say to normalize it, right? People should feel as comfortable being on camera, sitting there chilling, smoking a joint as much as you would smoking a beer or glass of wine, right? Normally you see somebody with a glass of wine, oh, it's normal, but you see somebody smoking a joint, you're like, oh, they smoking, man. You know what I'm saying?
It's so funny you said that. Oh, were you gonna say something, T?
Yeah, but I think it's just the stigma of it because, my daughter, for instance, she was watching for gym class last week. She was watching. It was a movie about heroin, and so I was just looking at if somebody does that versus if somebody does weed, they get in trouble more for the weed, and they have systems and places for people to go who's on her, but I mean, and like I was telling my daughter, I said, I could be wrong, but I've never heard anyone really passing over an overdose of weed, and I could be
no such thing.
Yeah. And I said, but there's so many people that pass away from her, from that, but they set up all these things and clinics to help them. But for people with weed, they lock them up for years. They get all these charges, and it's
because the people with weed got superpowers.
No. That's not why. It's because specifically, think about what I said to you initially, and think about the prison system and how many Black men that has been used to be able to imprison. And think about how many. Seriously, think about all where we grew up in Trenton, and think about your friend that you use as an example, right? If you think about cannabis and what we actually know about it now, what about it? This whole idea that was the bad thing that was getting them in trouble, or why it was bad. It wasn't the weed, it was the cops. It was the fact that they were locking them up. They found that to be an excuse that they could to mess with us, to try to lock Black men up and take us off the streets, right? So that's what it all came down to. And now people are finally getting enlightened to it. And like I said, these charges are getting expunged, but how many people have wasted and given up their lives for it?
Yeah.
That is
Years.
true.
How many people do we know that was all like, the folks that we was looking,
Yep,
like
that
you
we
said in
looked
the
up
beginning.
to.
You be like, oh, I don't smoke. I'm a good kid. You know what I'm saying? Because we saw all the friends getting locked up doing all of that. And it wasn't, it was just because like that's the system. It was designed to do that.
I don't know if I ever will or when I will, if my kids will ever find out that I do or whatever. But there, like I said, even with certain piercings or tattoos and stuff that I would get, I would be like, I don't want my kids to know. But now I'm like, when it's the right time, they will know. Like, because I want them to understand. And I've actually heard my boy Jay said this, Big J T, Teddy Bear, when he said if his daughters ever decide they want to try to do it, they need to do it with him first. And I want to be that parent too. I want my kids to have their experiences with me or with their dad, Danny, or whatever. Because
my mom used to say that exact same thing.
But it's real though, because I didn't have my parents to say that to me. If you want to do,
I don't want my kids.
They would be like, you better not. Like,
I want my kids' first experiences to be fun and lit like mine were. Why the hell would I want my kids to smoke their first joint with me? That sounds whack as hell.
Because it might be fun. I know I'm gonna be fun, shoot, because I might be the one that's most lit.
I want them to have a fun. I want them to have a great fun experience of legal age. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like anybody else would have.
You can do that. Like this lady, so I went to this training, and this lady, God, I forgot where she's from. But she said that with her kids, that's something that they would do that like together, is that they can smoke together. And even like drinks, if you think about certain places, like they have their first drink with their kids.
Yep. I agree with you on that one. And I still feel like I'll do that part too, the same way. If you want to have a drink or whatever, I'll let you have like.
Nah, don't drink. No drink. That's what I'm telling them. No drinking, man. Don't. Nah, man. That's drinking is not good for you, yo. Drinking is an L. Yeah. Drinking causes bad decisions, accidents. Nah, yo.
That is true. That is very true.
Yeah. I mean, I just think, and again, it comes from seeing other people's lives throughout the years, is just don't let it control you.
Yo, so funny because my dad literally just wrote that saying, keep it real. All we said was for you to control it, not to let it control.
Yeah.
Hey,
that sounds like a whole commercial.
That's the message. You can hear the background.
Shout out to you, Dad. I know you're the only one watching right now.
You're not doing his homework. Control it. Don't let it control you. And the messages, that's what kept us straight, man. It worked too. What's up, Mr. Kenny, my man?
Yo, I swear. And like I said, it's really funny because I know my dad,
Mr. Davis.
He probably tried a lot of those things. I know he doesn't drink now. Occasionally he might have small things, but other than that, he won't do none of that. So for me, that might be the other thing, T, where I'm like, no, I can't do all this. I feel like my grandmom's going to come down from heaven and smack me, or that someone is literally watching, or someone's going to tell on me.
Yeah.
Or it was all those thoughts, right? Yeah. And again, I used to really think people were bad when they did it because that stigma. But now I'm like, I guess I'm part of the bad crew. I don't care. Again, it is about not letting it control you. I guess.
That's all it's about, you know. I mean, it's not something that I have to do. It's not something that I do every week, every month, every, you know. So, you know, I tried it. It's out. I don't have to do it again. I'm okay if it doesn't happen
again. Exactly. And Tahir just in there chill, like
he's. I'm more than Nate Dogg Cam. What he say? Hey. Smoke weed every day.
So funny. So I know we're gonna get ready to wrap this up, but Tahir, I think you got a show coming tomorrow, or there's something you're on tomorrow too, right? Is it in the early afternoon? Or
I am. Yes. Yo, check out the 420 experience. Shout out to my girl Hope Wiseman, Marion, Maine. My panel is at 1:00, I believe. But anyway, you should just check it out anyway. It's 420experience.co, I believe, to buy the tickets. So, check that out. And yeah, as a matter of fact, y'all, I got a little podcast too. Y'all should definitely check it out. I got it on ice right now. But you could catch the last episode I did was probably like a couple weeks ago. I'm going to come back. I'm about to actually be hopefully doing it on the radio soon. So it's going to be coming out. But stay tuned for that. The Cannabis Diversity Report. You can look it up on everywhere where you listen to podcasts, Apple, Google, Spotify, all that stuff.
Nice.
Everywhere, all of them. All of them.
Congratulations.
Yes, congrats, man. Look, I'm really happy and proud of you. Seeing your name up in Rolling Stone and all this other stuff. It's like, yo, Tahir is doing a damn thing. Like, go ahead.
It's crazy, man.
Call you Mr. Cannabis yourself. Like
that's it, man. I try to be, man, and it's definitely a blessing and it's good. Like I said, specifically like what I get to do, it feels like, this legalization is so important. It's such an opportunity. It's such an opportunity to bring wealth to our community, but it's also such an opportunity to help to fix something that was such a part of our lives. Like I said, I saw it destroy so many people from our community's lives, for something that is really not bad at all, right? Like I saw so many of our friends be locked up over this. And to have the opportunity to help fix that and try to make it so that people don't get cannabis charges and this can be legalized. And also, like I said, bring this wealth to our community and this billion-dollar industry. To have the opportunity to do that is a blessing. And it's something that I love, right? I'm literally doing what I love, working on what I love every day. So it's a blessing.
Congratulations. We are so very proud of you, man.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to take a trip out there to him and have I'm not gonna have a blunt or nothing. I'll just bring my pen.
Hey,
and hang out for real, man.
I'm vaccinated, so and whatever.
Look, vaccinated, high, all the above.
Try to get home once in a while, man. I'll be up there soon. I'll definitely hit you up when I'm up there.
Absolutely, man.
How's your brother, man? What's good with him, yo?
He's good, just doing the same thing, coaching basketball, taking care of the kids.
He's coaching. Where is he coaching at now?
So he actually has a couple of teams right now with the CJ Express. I don't know if you remember, but back then
AAU
had the AAU team.
And the one that Fauci used to coach?
Now he's coaching, but he has about 12 teams under that name now. So he kind of carried it over and just is trying to make a big, organization out of it. So
that's what's up. I love it, man. That's perfect. That's exactly where he should be, man.
Yeah, it's really nice to see him still doing what he loves too. But it's funny because it's dag, man, you can't even jump no more. He's
Kenny can't
washed
jump.
up. And I hope he watches this. He's so washed up right now.
Oh, leave him alone.
Your brother, he can't dunk?
No, he can't dunk. He left it. He left his
to it. Dunking at 12 years old. I'll be telling stories about your brother my whole life, yo.
For real. He ain't dunking nothing but donuts, bruh.
Ebony.
Are you washed up too? Can you still play ball? What's up?
I can still play. Don't play me. I can still play. No,
I want to see.
I'm lying.
You got a shot. What you got?
I still got a shot, but I'm washed all the way up.
Dang.
I leave that to the kids, man. All the kids and everyone else, they can do that. They can do all that.
I feel you.
Yes, but thank you so much, Tahir. I don't know, T, if you got anything you want to add.
No, that was good.
Dope.
Thank you. Thank you for all the information.
Yes, this was very informative today. Like I said, whoever is watching, thank you all for watching. And oh my gosh, my dad is still telling me to watch my mouth. Sorry. I think he just likes to troll when we are on this.
Mr. Davis always going to coach y'all. He going to make sure you're right. He don't play with y'all. He said, don't get on his Facebook and act grown. I'm your friend on here.
I just turned 37, bro. I'm grown.
Still his baby girl
You know,
though.
you got good parents. That's why you know you got good parents, man. I
I
love your
know,
parents,
I
man.
know. But
Looking
T,
just like your mama.
yeah, you do too. I feel like we all look like our mothers. But T, I do want to say real quick, it's funny because my dad is probably the main one that's always asking, so what happened to the lives? Now I have to go on YouTube and actually watch it without
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Dad. Yes, you do, but I at least premiere it for you guys to still jump on to YouTube and you can still comment and write us the same way you would in here. So we're just trying to make it a little easier on everyone. Dad. Oh, my dad just asked what is 420. I just saw that. I'm sorry. So you want to answer
So
that?
420 actually the story that I actually hear that I believe is the origin. There was like these kids at this high school. I'm gonna get it wrong. I don't remember the actual place in California, but they got this treasure map to like there was somebody I think they said a Coast Guard and had to go away. He got sent away on duty and he was growing some weed out there and it was like they all met up like after school at 420 to go find this treasure map to go find this like weed that was planted or something like that. And like that was and like that term like just spread like 420 like just spread like all over.
Wow.
And like something like that. I believe that's it. I could be wrong, but
It's like one of those telltale signs.
yeah, it's like nobody actually knows like where it came from, but it's been around for like ever. And now it's like a whole thing. Like, it's like Christmas for cannabis.
Yeah, exactly. So
But
Merry Cannabis, everyone, tomorrow. Merry Cannabis.
Yeah. But the last thing I would say, definitely for everybody in Jersey that's listening, if you want to have an opportunity to participate in the industry, now is definitely the time. Like cannabis was just legalized in November. The commission should probably be rolling out some type of applications, something like that, somewhere, summertime, fall, something like that. I definitely look at the opportunities, because it's a great industry. Excuse me, it's not what we grew up on. It's not any type of negative thing. It's legal. It is cannabis changes lives. Yes. And we definitely need to make sure that people of color have opportunities to participate in, again, what is a multi-billion-dollar industry in this country. So any way I can ever help, hit me up.
Thank you, man. Thank you for all the jewels. Yes. All right.
You already know.
Yes. Well, you enjoy your night. Y'all have a wonderful one. I'm about to take one more pool. I only do like 2 pools like every month, like once a month, whatever. But anyway, again, new edit. Daddy, I'm not letting it control me. So, but now I'm going to go ahead and close this out. You guys, thank you so much. Everyone that's watching, thank y'all. And we will have this up on YouTube tomorrow in case anybody has missed it. So y'all have a good night.
Good night, y'all. Thank you.
Thank you.